Hi, my name is Erin. I'm a therapist.
Are you forgetting that I was a professional twice over, an analyst and a therapist, the world's first analrapist?
And I love analyzing Reddit stories and TV shows and movies and pretty much anything in the pop culture world. Today, we're going to go analyze a few Reddit stories that I've picked out and have some fun while we're doing it. But first, I need coffee. Look at this cute mug. H for Hall. Got it for my wedding. Got my coffee. I've got a plain iced latte today. Delicious. Okay. Ooh, let's talk prenups. Prenups, very stigmatized, very polarizing topic. My fiance, 32, male, wants me, 28, female, to sign a prenup after my mom raised concerns. How can we navigate this without damaging our relationship? I, 28, female, have been with my fiance, 32, male, for 3 years. We've had a strong relationship until now. He proposed 6 months ago, and I was excited to start planning our life together. Last week, he brought up the idea of signing a prenup, which caught me completely off guard because we've never talked about it before. At first, I tried to keep an open mind. He recently inherited some money from his father, so I thought maybe he was just being cautious. But I later overheard a conversation he had with his mom where she implied I might not have the right intentions. Yeesh. He admitted she's the one who suggested the prenup to quote-unquote protect him. And while he says it's not personal, it feels deeply personal to me. For context, I've always supported myself financially. In fact, I helped cover some of our shared experiences when his business plans hit a rough patch. I don't want his money. I just want a life together built on trust. I feel torn because I love him and understand the practical side of the prenup. But the way this came about feels disrespectful. How can I address this with him in a way that strengthens our relationship instead of creating more distance? I want to make sure this doesn't set a bad tone for our marriage. Okay. Like I said, prenups, very polarizing topic. I, off the bat, appreciate this original poster because she had self-awareness to say, I know that this is a rational ask. I understand where it's coming from. And also, I'm having a lot of feelings about it that aren't great. And I'm seeking some advice because I want to have open communication going into my marriage. I want to not have my marriage start off with resentment. And so that's really healthy. It's really healthy to have that self-awareness and be kind of thinking through, how can I set us off on the best foot? How can I put our best foot forward and have a strong structure and foundation to our marriage? Okay. For one, I think that prenups are a good thing and people should do them because they cover your assets and protect your future. No matter how much you dearly, dearly love a person, you cannot predict the future. You just cannot. And signing a prenup does not mean that you do not trust the individual. It just means that you're protecting yourself. Oh, this is Sorrel. Hi, Sorrel. She's very sweet and she may join us today. Oh, she wants to join us right now. Do you have any take on prenups? Would you sign one? Hot take. Prenups. So I just love this cat so much. Just need a pet break. One moment. Okay. I think the irony with prenups are when we come into relationships, we have so many self-defense mechanisms to protect ourselves from getting hurt. We distance, we kind of, when there's an argument, we might flip the argument so that it falls on the other person. We might be less vulnerable because that's protective. Oh, she's so cute. There's just so many ways that people carry self-protective mechanisms into relationships. And first off, building your self-awareness around that is going to take you miles in your relationship. It's such a healthy thing to do, and recognize, oh, I'm triggered about this, or this thing usually upsets me, or I feel myself withdrawing and retreating from this because of this reason. So it's really ironic to me that we instinctively and unconsciously come into relationships with so many protective factors, and yet prenups are looked down upon as a protective factor. I think it totally makes sense to sign one. I think it can be healthy. And in fact, if they both get lawyers, they can come to a mutually beneficial prenup in which it protects and covers both of them equally and fairly. And there's a great solution to this. I think the mom is the problem in this. Mom, not okay. My advice to them would be to create boundaries around relationship with mom and mom's involvement in this whole situation, because this is up to them to get a prenup signed and to figure that out for their marriage and their future family. Mom does not get a say in this. There should be a hard boundary drawn there. So I think actually really what's the issue is mom's response to this. I would be absolutely so frustrated if my mother-in-law did not think, oh my gosh, Sorrel. She's being so cute and so annoying. Anyway, so if my mother-in-law or future mother-in-law said to me that she did not trust my intentions with my fiance, I would be livid. I would be so upset. In part because authenticity is one of my core values, and making sure I carry that where I go in relationships is something that I always do or try my best to do. And if someone were to call that into question, that would eternally piss me off so much. She seems very grounded. She seems very rational. Good for her. I'd be really emotional about this, which she is feeling emotional, but I really think that the bigger issue is how the mom feels about the daughter-in-law and why she's questioning the authenticity that the daughter-in-law brings when she's around the family. So I would also say, like, what is son going to do about that? Is her fiance going to confront mom and say that's an inappropriate comment, or you don't get to have a say in this? Is he going to draw those boundaries and protect and honor his fiance? Or is there going to be a bigger issue? I don't know. Boundaries and expectations. Super essential in relationships. Let's read some comments. If you love him and want a future with him, then agree to a joint prenup, which protects both of you. Hire a lawyer to have your best interest in mind and never sign anything you don't agree with. However, the elephant in the room, his mum, sounds like problems waiting to happen. Okay, that's essentially everything I just said. Get a lawyer, draft something that's beneficial for both parties, and then address the thing with the mom, because the mom is the true issue. Okay, that was the top comment. I think prenups are a good way for each partner to be protected. Approximately half of all marriages end in divorce, so it's just a reasonable precaution. You should hire a lawyer to represent your interests and have your lawyer and his lawyer hammer out an agreement that you both find fair. Agree with this to an extent. Approximately half of all marriages end in divorce is actually not entirely true. There was a study done a long time ago that showed this, and then it just became one of those things that people flippantly say, oh, 50% of marriages all end in divorce. That's not actually true. I do know that based on the research I did, 20 to 40% of marriages end in divorce due to financial disagreements. So that is a reason that many people get divorced, and definitely something to be aware of and talk about as you move into marriage. But this approximately half of all marriages end in divorce is not true. If you look at divorce rates, they're actually dropping each year since 1990. That being said, if you look at marriage rates, they have also dropped every year since 1990. Correlation does not prove causation, but there could be something there to think through. Anyway, that's my nerdy statistic brain. So, one more comment. Why not? I think the conversation should be around about how he went about it, how he's going to deal with the sensitive issues in the future, and the fact that he cannot let his mom constantly be whispering in his ear. Agree to sign it, as others have said. It can be beneficial for you, but get your own lawyer and make sure it's clear that you're all in, and it will be a negotiation and you're going to protect yourself as well. Everybody's saying the same thing. Let's see if there's anything else that people are saying that. Yeah, everybody's saying the same thing. This one's not that crazy, but I think prenups should not be as controversial as they are. On to the next one. Yikes, yikes, yikes. I, 29 female, just found out my husband, 32 male, cheated on me 2 years ago. The affair resulted in a child who he has no contact with, although he still works with the mother. We have a child together, 4.5 years old. What to do next? Eesh, okay. Well, this is already sad. Okay, my husband, who I've been married to for 4 years and together for 8, told me last month that he had an affair with a coworker 3 years ago that lasted about 6 months. Okay, the math ain't mathin' on that. If they were together married for 4 years, and he cheated 3 years ago, that means he cheated on her in the first year of their marriage. Okay, and that's super not okay. Okay, that affair resulted in a child.
A child.
Great. He has proven, and I've confirmed, that this ended when she got pregnant, and he told her that he didn't want to be involved with the child at all. This has always been mind-boggling to me. Like, I will never understand. Like, if you're going to cheat, at least use contraception. Like, I don't understand why you're putting everything at risk already to cheat on whoever you're with, your partner. And yet you're not even going to protect yourself in that way. Like, that is mind-boggling to me. That is one thing as a therapist I just want to understand. Maybe it's the heat of the moment. Maybe it makes things more exciting. I don't know. Don't get it. Whatever. Okay. So he's proven that it's ended and doesn't want to be involved with the child. We've gone through all of the details, and at the time of the affair, I had felt a shift in his behavior, but put it down to issues at work. Before and since it happened, he's attentive, loving, and an excellent father to our son. He very clearly regrets it all and isn't in a good place. I do love him. I'm just so angry at him, and I don't know where to go from here. This woman won't leave the workplace, and I'm a stay-at-home mom, for now at least. I want to forgive him, but can I? Any suggestions in next steps? Oh, girl. Okay. I don't even know where I would start with this. I think one place I would start is with empathy for the mom. She probably just had her world absolutely rocked by this information. I don't know how you couldn't. I'm sure there's a lot of whiplash. I'm sure there's a lot of grief in this. And how to navigate through that is very layered and very complicated. But I think the first step in that is starting with some validation and empathy for her. So because... she's like, all right, you can sit on my lap. Because our brains love black and white and hate sitting in the gray, it's really hard to hold two opposite emotions. This is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance, hold up a definition, is a psychological state that occurs when a person holds conflicting values, beliefs, or attitudes. So, essentially, this means holding two opposite things at once. Like, my husband is a really good father to our kid, and I've seen him be present and compassionate and attentive. And also, he cheated on me, and I don't know what to do with that information, and he has a family that he has abandoned. So I just start off with validating her of like feeling both of those things. I'm sure feels really confusing and really hard, but they can both exist in the same space. And there's going to be some grief in that process that comes along with renegotiating who this person actually is to you. You have to lose this idea of who they were to you, which is incredibly hard. What a painful process to have to work through who I thought somebody was, who I trusted them to be, and now they are not that person. That is a very hard piece of counseling. But once she starts doing that work and starts incorporating, this is who I believe he is to be now, holding those two emotions eases up a bit. So I'd start with some validation for her. I mean, can we talk about the fact that he abandoned the other family? Like, that is so selfish. It was selfish in the first place to cheat, have your cake and eat it too. But it's also selfish for him to completely sacrifice his commitment to this other family that he so chose to bring into this world and not be, and still feel like he can be and have his perfect family. That's not fair. That's not fair to anybody. It's not fair to the family. It's not fair to your wife that you've been lying to for years. It's not fair to, certainly not fair to the 4.5-year-old. Oh my gosh, I get so feisty when I think about the kids in these situations. That, I can't even imagine the level of abandonment that other kid is probably processing through. Even though they're young, even though they're probably about, sounds like maybe 3 years old, doesn't mean they don't have a sense of abandonment. They do. They can. And so I can't even fathom that poor child who's dealing with that. And then this 4.5-year-old who now has to navigate and adjust to having a new relationship or new parental relationship. And that's going to be really jarring for him because human beings, not just kids, especially kids, but human beings, we thrive on structure. We thrive on consistency. And now we're throwing a huge wrench into this. And who knows what's going to happen? Is the dad going to move out? Is the kid going to have to go in between houses? What's going to happen? I don't know. But that's another thing in this that's really sad is just his lack of commitment to both families in a sense. Also, one of the first things I thought about was, why is he telling her this all now? Makes no sense. My best guess is the other mom is coming forward and is either going to tell her and say like, hey, this happened, or she's probably more likely trying to get child support. And so it's going to come up in some way, shape, or form. So I think it's really shitty, quite frankly, really, really crappy that he didn't even tell her initially when it first happened. Pause. I am probably going to get flamed for this, and that's fine. But I think him being human still deserves empathy. I don't agree with what he did. I certainly don't condone what he did. And also, he is a human being who is messed up and clearly needs help. My empathy for him comes in the form of probably the shame that he has felt in engaging in an extramarital affair. Shame is a force of nature. It is one of the most powerful things to navigate in counseling, to have to hold, to have to understand in your world. And as counselors, we're called to help people navigate and hold their shame. Shame pushes people to retreat, to hide. And so I'm guessing in part because he wanted to preserve the family unit that he had, which is part of the reason he didn't tell her sooner. But I have a safe bet that he also did not tell her because of his immense sense of shame about the entire thing. And that I can understand and have empathy for, even though I don't agree with his actions. All of this being said, this whole situation, it just sucks. It sucks for both the moms. It sucks for both the kids. This is going to be really messy, and it's going to be really hard for her to navigate. This is another thing. One of the things that I would require from him moving forward, if I were to even think about re-engaging in a relationship with him, would be you need to quit your job and find a different job where you're not working with the woman that you had an affair with. And that, I think, is a rational ask. I don't like ultimatums. I think in general they turn out really poorly. But I think when you have a situation this unique, I think it's a very rational ask to say, hey, I don't think you should work with the person that you had an affair with. And the bummer part about this is I have no clue if that's even rationally possible for them. She's a stay-at-home mom, so I'm guessing that he is the sole income for their family. Does he have an ability to get another job? I don't know. I don't know what their financial situation looks like, and that's really sad because he might be forced to continue working there with her. And me as the wife, I would feel just incredibly uncomfortable with that. This woman, at the end of the day, she deserves to be respected. She deserves to be treated with dignity and kindness and honor. And he has done none of that. Even though he's a great dad and I can acknowledge that, he still has not shown up for her in the way that she deserves. All around, that one just makes me sad. Comments? Top comment, why did he confess the affair all of a sudden? This person said, my guess is that the coworker is planning, if not already, to file for child support, and that's when the wife is going to find out. He wanted to get ahead of it. Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, that's what I was guessing too, so that's very sad. There's a reason he's coming clean. I wouldn't be surprised if you find any child support court documents lying around. If he regretted it, he certainly took his sweet-ass time after the affair. I'm sorry, but I couldn't overlook that part since he seemed fine lying to his partner. Absolute scumbag. Yeah, that's, I mean, harsh, but somewhat true. The other thing that I'll say about reconciliation, because I talk about reconciliation a lot with my clients, because the whole reason they're seeing me is usually they've been hurt by some other person. So what does reconciliation look like? But true reconciliation has to be both parties engaged in that process. So if she reaches a place of forgiveness in her own heart through her own work, and he is still just not taking accountability, doesn't really see how harmful it was, can't really engage in that process, then there isn't reconciliation to be had. And that's okay. Sometimes that's life, and you can't reconcile with everyone because people are unhealthy. People find it really hard to do their own work and can't engage in their own work because of their own shame, ironically. If they were to engage in their own work, they would probably work through their shame and come out on the other side a healthier and whole person. And so I get it. I get why it's hard. I get why it's hard to go to counseling. I get why it's hard to stare your shadow self down in the face. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. You're doing one of the most vulnerable things in the world. But unless you're willing to do that, I don't really feel like true reconciliation can be reached. All right. That's my 2 cents on that one. Sad. All right. My husband sent me one this morning because he knew I was going to be recording. Let's see if I can find it. Email. Last weekend, I, 36 female, drunkenly flashed my husband's 31 male friends and still can't let it go. I've apologized and promised to not drink again. What more can I do? By the way, this is Sage behind me. Hello, Sage. Would you like to say anything? Sagey. She doesn't like the camera, apparently. So, Sage, Sorrel, they're sisters. They're bonded, and they're very adorable. So you'll see them in my videos, I'm sure. All right, so this one is already off the rails. I mean, she's flashing her husband's friends. That's uncomfortable for everybody involved. All right. It's nearly 6 a.m. here, and he has yet again woke me up at 2 a.m. to tell me how much he hates me and how disappointed he is in me. Off to a roaring start. Last Saturday, I went out to lunch with friends. I've probably only been drunk about 10 times in my whole life, and this is one of them. I wasn't terribly drunk, but I was definitely tipsy. It was about 4 p.m. when I got home, and my husband had 2 friends round watching football with him. My phone was dying, so I went to get the charger, which was plugged in near the TV, and I was blocking it as I struggled to reach the charger. They were playfully telling me to get out of the way and booing me when one of them said, "Move your arse, we're trying to watch the match." And I genuinely don't know what came over me, as I've never done anything like this before. But I turned around and pulled my top and bra down and said, "Watch these instead." I feel so embarrassed just writing that. They all sat there in shock, and there was an awkward couple of seconds of silence, and then I just left the room as quickly as I could. I like that she adds, without my charger, because that's what's important here. After they left, my husband came upstairs and was screaming and shouting at me that I embarrassed him, cheated on him. He hates me. He insulted my looks and age a few times, which I won't repeat here. I just kept apologizing and said I'd make it up to him. The next day, I again said sorry and I would leave if that's what he wanted, or I'd do anything to make it up to him. He ended up writing me a list of things I had to do to make it up to him. This is the list. 1, don't drink. I can handle that, like I said, and I don't drink anyway. 2, delete his 2 friends who are round off social media. I don't understand what that means, but I get the concept, okay? She said I did that. 3, do all the cooking and cleaning for a month. She just says, okay. A message the girlfriends of the friends and telling them what I did and apologize. I did that. Neither really cared. I would care if my friend flashed my husband in a drunken stupor. I would not be okay with that. There's so many things that are so inappropriate about that. All right, this list isn't even over. 5, sleep in the spare room until he wants me back in bed with him. I've done the things he asked me every night. He's woken me up shouting at me and name calling me. This morning I told him enough's enough and either let me sleep and start to move past it or I'll go live with my mom till he decides whether he wants me or not. I know it's only been a week and it's my fault, but I don't know how much more I can take. Was I harsh to say I'd leave? Can I do more to make him feel better? Too long, didn't read. I drunkenly flashed my husband and his friends. I've tried to make it up to him, but it's not enough. Okay. I don't even know. I don't know where to go with this one. Wowzers. Okay. First off, I counsel a lot of teenagers. It's primarily I primarily do adolescent counseling. I love what I do. I love working with the younger generation. They're super fun. They're straight to the point. They're authentic, and I love it. One thing consistently across the board that seems to get the teens in trouble is drinking and then making stupid ass decisions after they've drunk or gone to a party. Almost every single time when I'm talking to them, they regret going to the party. They regret drinking. They regret doing any of that. Alcohol is such a dangerous force when it comes to making wise and honorable decisions. I don't think drinking in general is bad. I don't want to just like broadly overgeneralize drinking. I just think that rarely, if ever, do situations go better when you're drunk. So that's my harsh judgment on her. But we can move past that because that's not really the issue here. Obviously, it's an issue, but she recognizes that drinking for her isn't healthy. She can't hold her liquor, clearly. So that's less of the issue. More of the issue, obviously, well, all of the issue, really, is her husband's response. What a crappy response. Is he in the right to be mad? 100%. Absolutely. I would also be pissed. That's neither here nor there. It's obvious and okay that he's mad. Okay, the way that he's going about this is so childlike and punitive. Oh, you make me mad, so I'm gonna do this. That is like so emotionally immature. Obviously emotionally immature for her to be drunk and then not really have any handle on her liquor, but the husband's response is the bigger issue because we all mess up and we're all human. So she's not going to be perfect in her marriage. Clearly, he hasn't been either, but he has so much lack of compassion and empathy for her and it's clear that he's very transactional in his understanding of what repair and reconciliation looks like. Like I talked about earlier, I talk about reconciliation all the time. So she's done some of the things that he's asked for, which I think some of them are rational, right? Don't follow my friends on social media that you flashed because maybe she did have some sort of attraction to them. So I think that's a rational ask and an okay boundary. He's not saying you can't have any social media. You can't post anything. Like he's not being overbearing. He's just saying unfollow my 2 friends because that made them really uncomfortable and makes me uncomfortable. Fair. The other one that I think is rational too is messaging the friends' wives and saying, hey, I did this thing just to let you know this happened. I find it really hard to believe that her friends were just A-okay with it. Like that's not a typical common response, but maybe that's like, maybe they all get drunk and do things on the weekends that they regret. So I don't know. whatever. That is also a fair ask because everybody needs to be in the loop about this, because what happens if a husband, this happens and he doesn't tell his wife? Well, he definitely needs to, but also she can help avoid some of that by confronting her friends and telling them. Because they are welcome to have some feelings about this too. Clearly, the most irrational one. Do all the cooking and cleaning for a month. What, are you 12? Oh, I won't tell mom and dad if you do my dishes tonight. Like, what? How old are you? Wow, Sage is really doubling down on this. Like, this is so cute. I love my cats so much. Like, are you seriously that emotionally immature that your way of her redeeming all of this for you is doing chores and proving to you that she's done enough or suffered enough? That's not what marriage is. That's not what unconditional love is. That's crazy. Oh, that was good timing. That's crazy and irrational. Also, sleep in the spare room until he wants me back in the bed with him. This can go either way when it comes to couples, where sometimes you just need space for a day and then you come back together and you're like, that was healthy for us. We would have fought in worse. We would have fought more. It would have gotten worse if we didn't take that separation. So sometimes that's fine. And Redditors might disagree with me on that, but sometimes that's okay. But prolonged, it does cause an issue, because now you're actually creating physical separation as well as you already have emotional separation from each other. So now you're just furthering the distance in your relationship, and that's not super healthy. So where do we even start with this? Where would I start with this? So, I think the husband needs to really tap into the feelings that he felt about this rather than just being angry, because anger is a complete surface level emotion. I truly believe that. I want to fight that with every part of my internal being, because I get really feisty and very angry about things, especially just life. And so when I sit down and have a conversation with my counselor and we start to pick apart why I'm so angry about it, the situation or whatever's going on, there's always an underlying feeling. Usually it's grief, and just being upset about things are not the way that they should be in the world, or maybe injustice is something that gets me really fiery. So maybe there's some grave sense of injustice and I feel like there needs to be reparations around that. I don't know, whatever it is, like there's always an underlying emotion to the anger. The anger is the first and that's the most palpable. But this husband needs to get down to the nitty gritty of like, I felt betrayed when you did that. I felt shocked and disappointed and whatever emotions come up for him, because him being able to pinpoint those is really going to help navigate. All right, so then now that you're feeling that and understanding what you're feeling, how do we help navigate into forgiveness, and how do we help navigate into understanding? Which is really hard. Way easier said than done. This poor woman is doing everything she can to appease him. Clearly she feels really remorseful about this, and it would be different if she was just doing those things and being like, whatever, it's not a big deal. She, in this post, at least it sounds like, has some understanding of the significance of what she did and is trying her best to make amends with this. But he is really holding on to this grudge. And I don't know, maybe I think sometimes in relationships when people hold on to grudges, it's because they feel like they're never in control of the relationship or never win arguments. And so it creates this ability for them to be like, finally, I am clearly in the right. Like, I didn't do anything wrong, so I'm going to milk this for all it's worth. And that's so unhealthy. That is literally so unhealthy, because that just means that that just means up until this point, you've had an inability to communicate how you truly feel and and navigate the tensions in your relationship. Overall, again, this is just like the most immature response from an adult that I've read so far today. 31. Oh my gosh, dude. You're 31 and you're acting like a freaking 10-year-old. All right. Let's see. Top comment. 3. Do all the cooking and cleaning for a month. One of these things is not like the others. Exactly what I said. Then someone commented on that. All others make sense, but this one sounds like he's lashing out, trying to punish her, and they need therapy. Yeah, exactly. Something. Oh, focus up, camera. Come on, let's go. Something is happening with my camera, and it dies right in the middle of what I'm talking about. And that's the worst, when I have two of the cutest cats in the world cuddling up on my lap while I talk about therapy. I'm in my dream world. Anyway, I was on, I think, if I remember correctly, when it ended, on the second comment about them needing therapy. Okay, this is one of the top comments. Him being angry with you makes total sense. I'd be living in his shoes too. And it's reasonable for him to ask you to stop drinking since you can't handle your liquor. However, him waking you up in the middle of the night and screaming at you, insulting you, and tacking on ridiculous, unrelated punishments like having you do all the cooking and cleaning for the month is just taking this way too far. You have done something bad doesn't give him a license to just treat you however he feels. You're his wife, for God's sakes. He shouldn't want you to feel like shit forever. Yeah, I don't know how I didn't even touch on that, but it's incredibly inappropriate that he feels the need to berate her in the middle of the night. That's not okay. That's emotionally abusive, and that wouldn't fly for 1 second in my world. But again, I talk to people who this is their reality, and this is the love that they accept. On some level, it's a cliche for a reason, but you accept the love that you think you deserve, and she deserves way better than this. I'm not saying that she should divorce him. I'm not saying that that's the solution at all. It's just that there definitely needs to be a shift of some kind in their relationship, and it starts with him having recognition that he is being incredibly inappropriate and incredibly mean too. This is bullying to wake somebody up in the middle of the night while they're discombobulated and completely unaware of what's happening, and all of a sudden you're shouting in their face, calling them names, and being overbearing and intimidating. How is that ever okay? I know that you're upset. I know that you're hurt. Like this Redditor said, validation in the anger of all of this. But processing that anger is not going well for him, and it's clear that he really needs some work on that. I feel bad for this woman. She just made a mistake, and well, it's pretty funny on some level, because who does that? That's just like so out of the blue crazy. It's also really sad because it's really highlighting their relationship and how he feels he has the ability to treat her. Okay. I don't remember which number that was. Well, I think that's enough for today. My cats are being little weirdos, per usual. And I enjoyed this analyzation of these Reddit stories, and I hope that you'll join me next time as I analyze Secret Life of Mormon Wives.